Hey, hello, this is Moon Griffon. Great to have you back with us as we rock and roll with our podcast, our national podcast, right here on the Moon Griffon Show. It's awesome to have you. If you check us out, don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend or two. We'd love to have them be a part of the Moon Griffon podcast as we break down some national issues. Today, I'm really concerned about what's going on in the whole country. And what I mean by that is it's the crime that's taking place all over the country. And it's not just inner cities. It's happening all over the country. In every state we can imagine, we are really having a problem with crime. Now, there's reasons for this. If you remember, go back to 2020, we started with all of Black Lives Matters. And by the way, if Black Lives Matters was about blacks, I'd be right there with them, but that was never what that movement was about. That movement was about not Black Lives Matter, but it was about taking the country into a Marxist position. It was never about protecting blacks, okay? You got to know that. That's the only way to understand it. So we had that movement, and part of that movement, which disturbed me, really was the fact that we wanted to defund police, and we wanted to get rid of police, and we want to cut the police down, and wanted to defund them and get rid of them. And I think that's so ludicrous for anybody. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, black or white, to get rid of police. You know, who's going to come help you at all if police aren't around? And I always thought that was odd, but the problem is the lawlessness, and that's a biblical term, the lawlessness all over the country has gotten to be ridiculous. They've made it, you remember in 2001, we had 9/11. Everybody remembers. If you were living and you had any age on you, you remembered 9/11. Back then, when 9/11 and all that took place, who did we celebrate? We celebrated policemen. We celebrated firemen. We celebrated first responders. And policemen were a big, big part of that. So just go back 20 years ago, barely over 20 years ago, and you look up and go, wow, we're celebrating. We're buying them lunch. I did it. Y'all probably did it. You're in a place to eat, and you buy somebody lunch because they just were part of the police department. Tell you a funny story. That was one of my favorite places to eat. And this just hit me. And had about 6 policemen over there. And so I was eating across the table, and they all had salads and were drinking. So the waiter came to help me. I said, hey, I want to pick up the tab. And it was about 6 of them. And I figured, 6 of them, I'm going to pay maybe $80, $90. And right before I left, I said, I got the tab. And then I saw all the food that was getting at the table, and they must have brought something to somebody else, and my bill ran $180. I never laughed so hard in my life, but I paid it because the lady said, "Do you sure you want to pay this?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I didn't ran my mouth then. But the point being is, I got 2 of the nicest letters from people. They didn't even know who did it. Okay, but I got a nice letter or 2 from some young black ladies that were police women. And they were the best comments I've ever received. They said, I saw you sitting over there. I knew you from the radio program. I do the Moon Griffon Show, 9 to 11, or really 9 to 12, Monday through Friday. And you can catch us out, go to moongriffon.com. And it was the nicest letter. And I thought, wow, what classy people. What a classy young lady to write me a thank you note. And I did not tell them to tell them who had wrote the ticket out for them or paid the ticket for them. So it was kind of a cool thing for me to get that, because I didn't go over there and say, hey, look what I'm doing for you. But I did it for the reasons that you did it. And a lot of people do this. They saw them and they said, hey, man, thank you. Thank God for what you do. Now, what's happened is we've turned this country upside down when it comes to law. Listen, you got to have laws. We spent all over this country. They spent time changing laws and changing prison laws and changing these laws and letting people back out. And now we got a bigger problem. Not to mention what they're doing at the border, that in a minute. But you don't get rid of police. You pay police. But they've created a culture with the riots and the hate police. And every time a policeman gets in trouble, all of a sudden it's all the policemen are bad. It's not true, folks. There's bad apples and everything. I even hear there's bad talk show hosts, but that's another story. So you've got problems now maintaining and holding police forces. Look in Portland, Oregon. Just look at the Christmas week. Not the Christmas weekend, but Good Friday. You had 1 store or 2 stores. They just closed down. They got tired of being robbed because nobody's doing nothing about the criminals. Now, remember, criminals are not black or white. Criminals are bad people. I used to remember when they were building all the prisons, everybody said, well, let's get them out of prison. I say build them and put the bad people in and keep the good guys out. But don't let them back in society when they hadn't paid their dues for what they've done. This is not about black and white. This is about people being held responsible for the crimes they commit. What I'm talking to y'all about is 1 + 1 = 2, but it's like we don't have that anymore. So what they did, we created a culture that some people think, well, policemen are bad. Policemen are not bad. Some of the best people I know are law enforcement people. They're great. They're white, they're black, they're green, they're yellow. They're male and female. I've been stopped by police. This is going to surprise you, folks. I've had about 20 tickets. And I hope Sam Stokes, my producer, is not laughing. And I've only been in 15 wrecks. And I want to let you know right now, Sam, if you're listening, three of those were my fault. Let me back up. Only 3 of them weren't my fault. The rest of them were my fault. Every time a policeman came in, they were just as nice as can be. And so what I'm saying is we have downgraded policemen. Now, all of a sudden, who wants to be a policeman? We don't want to fund them right. We got some areas, Portland, Oregon, places in New York and California that say, oh, let's defund them. Let's take away the money from them. So all of a sudden, you got a workforce and a police force that's a lot less than it needs to be. I know, like in New Orleans, Louisiana, I'm from Louisiana. If you can't understand me, it's because I'm from Louisiana. But in New Orleans, Louisiana, they're about 600 to 800 short on the number of policemen working there. Why? Well, because when you take an institution like police, which is supposed to be there for everybody, and they've made mistakes. I didn't say they didn't, but for the most part, they're doing a great job. They do a really good job of doing their job. And so what happens is when you downgrade it, not only is your morale low, not only is the pay low, then you have problems getting people back in the system to work as policemen. So lawlessness has caused this. Black Lives Matter, all the movement on the left. Let's get rid of the police. Let's defund the police. How stupid can you get? That's pretty stupid. But check this out. So then we got a new president that comes in, Joe Biden, the Democrats are in charge of everything. So what do we do with the border? Here comes lawlessness again. Why are we allowing people to cross the borders, okay, that don't come here legally? You see people say, oh, man, Christians and conservatives like you, Griffon, y'all all the same. Y'all just racist. You don't want people to come over here. You were an immigrant at one time. That may be true on the immigrant stuff, but on the part about allowing people to come over here, if you come legally, a legal way, just like we talked about voting, if you do it legally, come on. We want you to come over if you want to come to the United States of America and become a citizen one day after you go through the process. What we're against is just opening the borders. How many of you people would just open your house and somebody knock on the door and you answer the door, who are you? And you say, let's make up a name, Sam. Hey, Sam, how you doing? What can I do for you? I want to come eat in your house. I want to come spend the night in your house. I might stay here for a week. What you going to do? Say, come on in. Don't know them. Don't know them from hell or high water. You bring them in. You got kids at the house. You going to just let them stay at your house? No, you're not going to do that. You're going to vet them before they come in your house. Okay, then why would we, at the border, just let people come in? Because here's the problem. The drugs. I mean, if I got to pick up another story and talk about fentanyl and the number of deaths, you know it's killing almost 400 people a day, fentanyl, and most of this is coming across the border. Yet you got Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, and a few of the flaky Republicans, some chamber types. They are saying, let's roll. Let's make everybody citizens overnight. Folks, this ought to not be happening. This is lawlessness. You come legally or don't come at all. That didn't make any sense to just allow people to come across. The rapes, you know, the sexual stuff that's going on with young kids, the murders. See, this is why I get so upset about this. Joe Biden, nobody's touching him. Nobody's touching his family. Nobody's touching his kids. And I don't want them to. Nobody's touching Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer's people. No. They don't live on the border. They don't have to deal with this every day. They don't have to deal with it in the inner cities. They don't have to deal with it in the country because they protect it. So they just let these people come across, and you got rapes and killings and things of that nature. Why would you allow people to come across? We don't know how many people are coming across that may have came through Iran, Iraq, or something like that. They want to blow something up. You're not vetting people. That doesn't make any sense not to vet people. This is such common sense. Here's the answer. Shut the borders down. Nobody comes across. Then when we get a grip on what we're going to do with that, then we have to find people that don't belong here and get them back out of here. Put them in jail, get them back out of here. I don't care if we build prisons. Stop being ugly. I care about Americans. We should care about Americans first. If you come over here and become a citizen legally, no problem. But folks, this is stupid. This is absolutely ignorant. This is foolish to keep the borders open. They bringing in the drugs. I got kids. I got grandbabies. I don't want them to die from that stuff. Well, Griffon, you act like it only comes through that. No, I know it happens over in the United States anyway, but I'm telling you where it's coming through. And we got a problem, folks. We shouldn't have to deal with this problem. We want people to come over here legally. We want them to come over here honestly. But if we're going to continue to do what the Democrats are doing and some Republicans and some chamber types to open the borders and let them come, you just hadn't seen lawlessness yet. They're not to mention they're getting benefits. They're getting ready to get on our healthcare system. And if it's up to Chucky Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden, we're going to just let 30 or 40 million, whatever number they tell you, multiply times 4, just come in and be citizens. They get every benefit that you get. And guess what? They didn't earn it. You got to earn your way in the United States of America. That's not hate. That's not racist. This is what we have to do. And if we're not going to do that, folks, we're going to run this country, and we're going to run it quicker than you think, because you got people coming over here who don't love this country. You got people coming over here who don't mind destroying this country. They're coming from hellholes. They're coming from hellholes, okay? When they come over here, what do you think? They get right all of a sudden and then everything's good? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. So it started with the police. We're going to have less protection in the cities. Mayor Lightfoot, every weekend, 20, 25, 30, long weekend, 60, 70 people shot. Some of them killed every weekend. New Orleans, Louisiana. We got the same problem to do. Matter of fact, New Orleans is declared the murder capital of the world. Well, I live in Louisiana. I'm about 2 hours out of New Orleans. And so it's happening all over the country. But if we're not going to step up as a country, as the United States of America, one nation under the Almighty God, and put a stop to that, then when it happens to your kids and you voted that way and you voted for Democrat and you voted for some of these bad Republicans, don't come crying to me. It's got to be sad to bury a loved one that you know maybe wouldn't have happened if they didn't open the borders and let people run across the borders. We got you might have some great people coming across the border who would make excellent citizens. That's not the ones I'm worried about. I'm worried about the ones that are coming across that want to hurt you and me and hurt our kids and take away our life and aware. If this border stays open under Joe Biden, Joe Biden don't even know where he's at half the time. But if this stays open, mark my word, not only will we be devastated as a country in the things they're going to do, our economy is going to be devastated too. I realize we got a lot of foreign workers that will come over here and work that Americans, we're too lazy to do. We're just too damn lazy. Okay? So we're going to bring people across. And the bottom line on that is, if they come legally, I have no problem with that. It's got to be fair. And they don't become citizens overnight. That's the goal of the left. They want new voters. Okay? Look what they've done. Take a look at it. Look what they've done to the minorities in this country. And if you don't believe me, take your cameras. Let's go look at all the inner cities, and you'll see problems that will never be fixed because they're not designed to be fixed. It was designed to do that, to hold voters to vote for Democrats, but they're not getting anything for it. And they never will. The ship will never come in. That ship won't even be built. That ship's not even designed. Keep voting Democrat. And it's hurting us. Listen, people like me, conservative, Christian, I do not mind people coming to this country. I don't care what they look like, but they ought to come over here legally. Legally. There's a big difference in just walking across the borders. It's a big difference. The drug trade, the sex trade with these young kids. If we ever saw what was going on, maybe some of the people, especially that vote Democrat, will understand. We better change this. God help us, folks. God knows if we can't change the borders and protect the borders, then we can't protect our citizens. Because I guarantee you, just think if they say 5 million, the number's 5 million that came across under Joe Biden. What if 1% of that? Well, 10% of 5 million is 500,000. Okay? 10%. So 1% would be about 50,000. Only 50,000 people came across that hate this country. Only 50,000 people came across that like to destroy this country. Only 50,000 people that came across that were terrorists. That wouldn't be too many, right? It would be 50,000 too many. We owe it to the people of the United States of America. And the politicians need to get off their rear ends, or as I like to say, their sad, happy ass. Get up, wake up, and do the right thing to protect the United States of America. And if they're not, we got to vote them out and vote the right people in. All right, folks, don't forget, check out the Moon Griffon, all of Rumble, YouTube, everything, and make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Tell your friends about us. We're here. We're going to be here a while. God bless. See you next time.